Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
This is Sparta!
It is the Al Travis Show. We're lucky to have our next guest in. He's Senator Jeff Howe. I have no doubt, and we don't fit the demographic, you and I, but I have no doubt you know who Charlie Kirk was. And I just want to get your first thoughts, sir. The Charlie Kirk shooting.
Devastating. I watched him. I watched his YouTubes all the time. I watched his Facebook posts. What I always admired about him is that he would debate anyone. He would use his faith and his knowledge of the Bible to do that. And I always envied him because he could rattle off those
scriptures,
chapters, and that scripture and that chapter and verse where it was, and be so eloquent about it. And that's something that I don't have. I know it's in the Bible. I can't tell you where it's at. I mean, I think
you and I are very similar that way. High school graduate was it, but he is so well read. The last series I watched him was debating folks in England at some fancy school in England, and all these kids were coming up, and he, like you say, just debate him. What about this? He could quote scripture. He could quote all these other books that they were supposed to be learning from. The guy was quite smart, whether you like his politics or not. But your thoughts on just the shooting in front of 3,000 people?
He had security people there. The police had security people there. But he wasn't behind a podium. He didn't have. But the thing is people are astounded at a 200-yard shot. For those of us that have spent time shooting, 200-yard shot is nothing. I mean,
no, with a rifle at all, no, absolutely not.
It's so. But I just can't. I don't understand where this country's going to and where our society's going to. I spent 38 years in the military defending our Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, this is all domestic. That's what's been going on. This is wrong. And now they're talking about going to go after our Second Amendments because people are violating our First Amendment. And that just seems backwards to me. And I don't think we're going to, if you got to look at the unintended consequences of going down that. And we got to get back to being able to disagree and still be civil to one another. I'm going to give you an example, and it's going to be with our good friend John Hoffman, right? Mm-hmm. This last session, John Hoffman, I come into the retiring room, and John Hoffman's I can tell by the twinkle in his eye that he's just stirring the pot, right? And he's got these folks on both sides of the aisle really fired up back there. And I looked at this as an opportunity. I just jumped in, and I jumped in with John, right?
All right.
I jumped in on his side of the deal, and I went all in. And this person on his side, we were going back and forth, and with people on both sides of the aisle, and I didn't realize how much under the skin I was getting, because that other individual stood up and says, well, I'm an attorney, and I know this. And I said, and I'm not, and my vote counts just as much as yours does. And that was oh, man, I didn't realize they stormed out of the room. What I didn't realize is people were texting lobbyists out in the outside the chamber, and the next thing I knew, I was getting summoned to go talk to a lobbyist, and I went, well, this is going to be interesting. So I went out there, and I didn't realize that this was going to be the topic. I had no idea what the topic was, and they were all fired up. And I thought we were good with you. I didn't think we needed to talk to you. You voted for this in the past. And I said, and I kept the facade going. I went right down the road, and he got so frustrated. I just finally said, "Hey, I was just having fun. Excuse me, but I'm still in the camp. I'm still voting for the bill." I actually had to. The next time we had session, and I apologized to the person on the other side of the aisle that stormed out. I said, "Hey," I said, "I was just poking fun. I'm sorry it got so bad. I'm sorry you had a bad day that day. I really support the bill. I'm going to vote for the bill. I just thought it was a chance to side in with Hoffman and stir the pot a bit. And holy smokes! But that is what we should be able to do, right?
Exactly.
We should be able to be the devil's advocate, because it should be able to strengthen your argument.
Yeah.
Because
oh, absolutely.
You should be able to argue your point of view and defend it. And if you can't, you shouldn't be able to shoot someone.
Yeah. That's never the answer. The interesting thing about Charlie Kirk, we talked about his religion, that sort of thing. He literally put his money where his mouth was. He starts his Turning Point USA to go to every campus, everywhere. And it didn't start out with 3,000 people, convince me I'm wrong or whatever, But what he did was, if you disagree with me, go to the front of the line. He didn't want just a bunch of people telling him that everything that he already knew. If you disagree, come to the front of the line. And again, I've watched a ton of those videos, and they weren't made for me, but I enjoyed them. I don't know if I ever heard him raise his voice. It's like, no, he was just, here's the conversation. It should be what all of us want in America, the ability to have those conversations and find out what the other side has. What does this do for us, Jeff? Senator.
This is devastating. And now people are jumping on the bandwagon. I tell you what, if you prohibit law-abiding citizens from having firearms, only the bad people are going to have firearms, because they're going to get their guns.
Yeah.
We are not going to stop that. And we're not going to stop the crazies until we put some money into mental health and build out that system. And you're saying, well, where's that money coming from? Well, I don't know. We've had billions stolen from us in fraud. We've wasted billions of dollars on stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So let's go look at our priorities and what is important to us, and let's do. And this comes from a guy from the school board and who's now a mayor right now. But my speaker Namath uses it all the time. Is it nice to have? Is it necessary or nice?
Nope.
And let's do the necessary, and let's put a pause on the nice.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't know if you heard us talking with Spinney or not, because his whole thing was the school shootings and that. And because he said the right doesn't want to do anything except hold fast on the laws. I said, that's not true. The right would like very much get police officers back in schools. Am I correct? I mean, we get the resources. We protect everybody else. Let's protect our kids. Hey,
what about this for a thought? And I can't take credit for it, but one of my good military friends brought this to me. And his idea is to take these, these law enforcement officers that have over 10 years experience and maybe have retired, and they can get a permit to carry in any state. Let's take those folks that have spent at least a decade or more in the military or in police service, and let's allow them to go into those schools. And let's give them, if they spend, I don't know, let's say 15 hours a week or 20 hours a week during the school year, and give them a deduction for their time off their tax. Why wouldn't, and I'm not going to say we should put retired military or those folks, because operating in a school with a bunch of kids is not a battlefield. All right. Yeah. That's a different scenario. And don't think we're there, but I think cops that have spent a long period of time in service, I got faith that they have trained in those situations, and I think that's a possibility. And I'm on this working group on gun violence or school shootings, and hopefully we can see that. On Saturday, I'm going to Lakeville to look at their school.
Okay.
And the upgrades and the hardening they've done of their facility. And I think that's something we possibly should take a look at, and maybe do a bonding project for something like that, because you can't do them all at once, because there's not enough product to do it, and there's not enough money. But you should be able to do a number of schools in a number of areas and get the thing done.
All right, we've got to go to break, sir. When we come back, we'll find out whether it looks like Walz is now getting in the game. He wants to be governor again. We'll talk about that and much more. Coming up next with Senator Jeff Howe.
Braver Angels Minnesota is part of a national movement that brings together conservatives, liberals, independents, and others to restore trust, respect, and goodwill in politics. We seek not to eliminate our differences, but rather deal with them head on, with respect and understanding. We do not try to change people's views, but how they view the other side. There will always be differences. Braver Angels Minnesota believes the best way forward is to change how we deal with those differences. Join the civil conversation at mn.braverangels.org.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc. Midwest Money Management and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
It's nice to know a guy that knows a guy. Al Travis.
Love having him on. He's Senator Jeff Howe. We call him Colonel Doge. Senator, it is now looking like the governor is back to being in the race. Not official For some reason, we want to wait another week, but evidently he is talking to big money donors and all the right people and telling them, yeah, we're in the game. Good news, bad news for, well, the state of Minnesota and also the Republican Party. Where do you sit with if we decide that Walz is the guy you're going against?
Well, I think that actually helps us, in my opinion. Granted, he's going to he can get some cash from the crazy big donors out there.
Yep.
But I truly believe that he's struggling getting out because he knows that if he gets out, he becomes irrelevant.
Yep.
He's just another former governor. And how old is he, Al? I have no idea how old he is. Is he 60 yet?
Yeah, he's in his 60s. I'm almost sure. I could look that up. I'll look it up. I'll look.
The thing is he's still relatively young in my book. He's younger. I know he's younger than I am. And what's he going to do? I mean, he's pretty much over. I think his speaking tour engagements is probably over.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot there. Who's going to read his book? I don't know. What's he going to do? And so he's not going to go back to teaching. He's not going to go back to Congress. I don't know what he does. So I think he's struggling with that piece.
He's 61.
Oh, all right. He's 61.
Born in 64. There you go. Thank you, Internet.
Yeah, there you go. So I don't know. He's struggling with being pushed aside, out of the limelight, not being able to do much. We will see. I think he's a guy that's got to have a title. I don't know. I think it helps us. No one in Minnesota's ever done a third term as governor. He could be the first. But he's got a lot of baggage going on. And if he calls a special session, I don't see it. It's a wide open game. He's not going to be able to get anything done. I think it will hurt him to have a special session.
Okay.
He can try to write whatever headlines and propaganda he wants to do, but the reality is he's going to waste a lot of money and a lot of people's time, and I don't think it helps him get that message out.
Well, a couple things. If he is going to get in, I think he should announce that he's staying as governor before he calls a special session. That way he's not a lame duck. So I think that might be the order of which he goes. But for me, sir, is there enough money in the Republican Party to put enough ads on to remind everybody of all the billions that were wasted and the fact that some of these frauds were so easily fixed and we did nothing about them? Isn't that, I mean, you want to look at Minnesota, where'd $18 billion go? Well, right to these guys' pocket.
Well, and I think that's why Blaha decided she was bound out, because how does she defend that? And even though it really wasn't her that was supposed to be auditing the agencies, it still clouds her because she is the state auditor. She audits the cities and the counties and the private folks out there. She doesn't do those. She doesn't do the agencies who are supposed to be doing the oversight. So, I think she was struggling with that. And I think the rest of them are all going to struggle with that. It'll be interesting to see if Walz does stay in. Does Simon? I think Simon will probably run for the Secretary of State again. Will Ellison run again? Because I'm sure that they're sitting there waiting in the wings for Walz not to run, so they can both run for governor.
Yeah.
But
so that will backfill a lot of spots. From your perspective as a Republican, what does that do? I know there are more than three, but three well-known, I suppose you could 4 or 5 Republicans are in this mix. Do more folks get in if they think it's Walz?
The thing is that's an interesting question, because I don't think, to me, it doesn't make any difference if it was or not.
Yeah.
I think I match up good against Walz.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the military and all the rest of that stuff. But, I don't think it makes a difference if it's Walz or if it's not Walz, because they all own what has gone on in the past 4 years. They
Fair
all
enough.
own it.
Fair enough. So,
So
were you
I think they're all painted with the same brush.
were you declaring yourself a candidate for governor? There I don't want to mislead anybody. Did you announce on my program?
You know, they'd have to call me and convince me that that we can raise the money to make that happen. I don't want to be one of those other alternate guys that doesn't have a chance in the to do it. I'm not going to be another name on the deal. So not
official.
Yeah, not very.
Right.
Just a pipe dream and somebody's idea that have been asked me from my BPOU to do so, and I said, "You show me the money, I'll do it, baby."
We are out of time. I love having you on. Thanks for taking the time to be with us, sir. I appreciate you very much. We'll get you back next week.
We need to heal our nation. I tell you what, we're broke. Thanks, Al.
That's all I'll say a prayer. Thank you, Senator Jeff Howe.
When the stakes are high at the Minnesota Capitol, you need more